Hi there, this is Karen Dudek-Brannan here. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to start off by telling you a story about the worst SLP in the world. She thought she was signing up for a rewarding career when she picked this field. She thought she would know exactly what to do when she graduated, but when she took a job in the school systems that included a caseload full of kids with language issues, she didn't know where to start. Each day, she promised herself she would get to work extra early so she could get organized and find some magic bullet for her tricky language cases. But half the time, she was so overwhelmed that she just hit her snooze button a million times and came into work at the last minute feeling frazzled. Instead of making headway, she just ended up wearing herself out. She thought if she just worked a little harder, things would get better. But that's not what happened. She always felt scattered. And she had students who didn't get better no matter what she did. She played phone and email tag with teachers, and she tried to make sense of what kids actually needed to know in school. But most of the time, she could barely keep it all straight, even when she did actually get to meet with the teachers. And half the time, she'd just end up helping kids with pointless worksheets or drilling flashcards because she wasn't quite sure what to do. And this made her feel like a glorified teaching assistant. Most days, she'd just throw her hands up and grab random activities off her shelves, especially when the paperwork started to pile up. And that was another issue, the paperwork. No one told her when she signed up for this that the pile of reports on her desk would consume her, taking up her free time. It made her brain hurt, especially when she had to come up with goals and present level statements for language, because those just took so much more work and there was never a clear-cut way to do it. She thought she was going to be helping people, not sitting in front of a computer all weekend. Things just got more scattered over time, and she felt like a failure when she didn't see any measurable improvements in some of her students. She felt powerless because there just wasn't enough time in the day to teach the kids all they needed to know to catch up to their peers. The system felt broken, and she decided that she must be the worst SLP in the world. Otherwise, her students would be getting better, right? Does this sound familiar? If it does, you're not the only one who feels this way. As SLPs, we work so hard to help our students and clients, and our schedules are packed. And we're always a step away from burnout, if we're not already there. We're so busy that we don't have time to stop and breathe. We have to make so many little decisions during the day that we don't have any energy left to actually do what we came here to do, which is help our students do well in school. It takes so much extra effort to plan for language therapy that we feel like we're guessing half the time. And we second guess ourselves and feel like what we're doing is making no difference at all. We're supposed to be the experts and have all the answers, but deep down, sometimes we just want someone to tell us exactly what to do for those language cases so that we know that what we're doing will work. It can feel like all the powers that be want us and our students to fail because we have to just wave our magic wands and fix the issue with just a couple sessions a week. After spending over 12 years as an SLP working with school-age students with academic problems, this is one thing I know. We can't keep reinventing the wheel. We need a system so that we don't have to think so hard. If we try to start from scratch every time and don't have a go-to process, we're just going to wear ourselves out and have no energy left to actually be good therapists. And here's another thing. Since we never feel like we have enough time for our students, we can't spoon-feed kids everything they need to know. The key to success is to focus on the right skills in language therapy, so we can get better results by doing less. We can do this by teaching students to think about language differently so they can understand how they learn best and figure out how to teach themselves. I want to help you do both of these things, so you don't have to feel like the worst SLP in the world like I did. I want to take the guesswork out of language therapy by showing you a set of proven strategies so you don't have to keep running yourself ragged trying to help your students succeed. I'm here to show you exactly what students with academic language issues need so you don't spend all night planning for sessions. And I'm here to help you with those students who are totally stuck, who hate school, and who have been sitting on your caseload forever not making any gains. I want to show you how to get these students to generalize skills. So some of them might be able to go through school without being in special education. Or maybe to help those students who are in a special education classroom the entire day to finally move out to a regular education classroom for some classes. Or to teach your students to think about language differently so they like the idea of learning rather than being frustrated all the time. I'm here to show you step-by-step guides that make paperwork and data collection easy so you can breeze through that pile of reports on your desk and get home to your family and friends. And show you how to keep track of the school curriculum and collaborate with teachers so you're an effective therapist, not an overqualified tutor. That's where my signature program, Language Therapy Advanced, comes in. From now until January 26th, I'll be accepting applications for founding members of Language Therapy Advanced, which is a program which includes 2 separate course volumes. In this video, I'm going to share everything you need to know about the program that will show you exactly what to do for students with language impairments so you don't have to reinvent the wheel when you're planning your therapy. This is a brand new package, and if you apply and are accepted, you'll be one of the first people to join and help develop some of the key features of the program, which means you'll have more access to me in these beginning stages, and you'll get a huge value for a significantly lower price than people who join later. There are only 25 spots available to become one of these early bird founding members. So there is an application you'll need to complete by clicking the Apply Now button at the bottom of this page. There's an application process so that I can make sure the program is filled with the most committed students. So what is Language Therapy Advanced? This is one of the only programs that will show SLPs exactly how to do language therapy for school-age students. And not just treatment techniques. I'll cover it all, from paperwork to writing goals and consulting with teachers. Each piece you need to do for students with academic language problems, I'll walk you through it. Now, there are other programs that will show you complete systems, but many of them are designed for teachers and don't really show us as SLPs what we need to do for language, which leaves us guessing at how to use those programs for therapy. Or many other programs are for SLPs, but aren't really feasible if you work in the school systems. As a school SLP myself, I know how frustrating it is to have to modify programs to make them work for you when they weren't really designed with you in mind. I've made this program just for SLPs, so you don't have to guess at what you're supposed to be doing. This is just for you. Now, do you ever wish that instead of having to dig through piles of research articles and manuals, you could just have someone put it all together for you, so you could just go do some therapy already? I've done that for you, so you don't have to. Do you ever feel like you need to just take a coffee break with some other SLPs who get it and talk through some of your most difficult cases so you can go back to work confident that you're doing the right thing? Well, so do I. That's why I've created a place for you to do just that. Okay, so it's not exactly a physical place. Language Therapy Advanced is a set of 2 courses with an online community where I'll give you step-by-step training and materials for language therapy. And the online community is a Facebook group where you can ask questions about the material and get support from me and other members of the course. As someone who's spent over 12 years in the field, working in the public schools and completing my doctoral coursework, I'm ready to be your guide. Because despite the fact that I struggled with my language courses and had reservations about working with this population, I was still able to crack the code, and I'm certain that you can too. Back when I started my career, I was that frazzled SLP I described earlier, so I know exactly how you feel if you're frustrated with your job. But I stuck with it, dug into the research, created this system, and took a leap of faith and tried it with some of my trickiest cases that were just stuck. And finally, I started either dismissing some of these students not because I'd given up, but because they were better. And some of those students who could barely function outside the special education classroom made enough progress that they could go out for certain classes. Like Jay. Jay came to me a year behind his peers in reading, 1.5 standard deviations below average in expressive language, was unable to keep up with the pace of his class, and needed special accommodations on tests. But after 2 years of giving him therapy focused on exactly what he needed, which was training in metalinguistic awareness and vocabulary, he was finally able to keep up with his peers, function without special accommodations or an IEP, and had language skills in the average range. Or like Missy, whose semantic skills were so weak that she was clueless during classroom discussions, whose reading skills were a year behind. But after learning specific metacognitive strategies, she was able to go to junior high without any special education services. Or like Neil, who started kindergarten in a special education classroom for all of the core academic subjects, with delays in syntax, phonology, and morphology. But after receiving specific explicit instruction addressing morphological and syntactic rules, he was able to get to that next level of independence. So by 4th grade, he was able to function in a general education setting for all core academic subjects with the special ed teacher co-teaching. And he went down to just needing speech therapy for some lingering articulation delays. So how was this possible? Do I have some secret strategy that no one else knows about? Not exactly. Instead, I've taken existing techniques that have already been proven by research and put them into a framework that allows you to structure your therapy so you can create profound results with less effort. And because I've used this system, I've created scripts, templates, and step-by-step guides and compiled the techniques that are supported by research into a system for you. There are 2 course volumes in this program. Language Therapy Advanced Volume 1 covers the why, the what, and the how of language disorders. So I'll cover one of the most common causes of many academic language problems, what to do about it, and how to do it. Then in Volume 2, since we know that we have so many other things we do in our jobs beyond just direct therapy, I'll show you how to manage all of these behind-the-scenes things we need to do to actually plan good therapy, including how to keep up with school-age curriculums, how to understand what academic language skills your students don't have yet so that you know how to help them, and I'll show you how to stay on top of paperwork and data collection once and for all. And of course, I'll show you how to write language goals, and since I'm covering the actual treatment techniques in Volume 1, I'll then show you how to pick the right treatment techniques based on the goals you've written and your students' needs in this second volume. So that once you go through all the material in the program, you'll know when to use it for what students. Here's a more detailed breakdown of the modules in the program. We'll talk about Volume 1 first. In Module 1 of the first course, you'll learn one of the biggest culprits behind academic issues related to language disorders and how to treat it. In Module 2, you'll learn the surprisingly simple technique that will get you better outcomes by actually doing less, because it helps students to think about language differently and learn things on their own. And you'll also learn a curriculum for language therapy that takes the guesswork out of planning, so you know exactly what to do with your students. In Module 3, we go even deeper into the curriculum and techniques from the first 2 modules, and I'll give you step-by-step guides for teaching metalinguistic strategies so you can make breakthroughs with those students who have been sitting on your caseload for ages, just stuck in the same place. Then in Module 4, which was added after the original version of this course, I'll take this a step further and show you how you can use metalinguistic awareness training to improve answering questions, writing, and listening comprehension, 3 areas that affect our students across the board and that our students often cannot do very well. So in this 4th module, I'll show you some proven strategies that will help your students generalize these 3 things, and I'll show you how you can do this in just 30 to 40 minutes a week, because this may be all the time you have with your students. And these techniques can be done even if you're only able to do pull-out therapy, and they don't require a lot of elaborate planning or fancy materials. And once you learn the basic steps of doing these techniques, you can adapt them for any grade level with students who are capable of basic reading and writing. For Volume 1 of the course, There are some bonuses, which are downloadable handouts such as worksheets and step-by-step guides for delivering specific treatment techniques. And all of these are focused on metalinguistic awareness and vocabulary so that we can teach our students to think about language differently so that they're able to learn independently. So this includes semantic features protocols and worksheets, morphological analysis printouts, syntactic awareness cheat sheets and protocols, a phonological and orthographic awareness cheat sheet, a printable infographic which outlines some specific origins of issues that cause academic problems, a detailed protocol for targeting written language, printable protocols to address answering questions, a self-questioning strategy protocol, a productivity system worksheet, and finally, a course reference list in case you wanted to look up some of the specific sources for some of these techniques. Now let's talk about the core modules in Volume 2. Here is where I'll show you how to take all those treatment techniques you learned in Volume 1 and find which ones are appropriate for your students. In Module 1, I'm going to show you clear-cut guides and shortcuts you can use to understand the grade-level curriculums so that you know exactly what language-related skills are difficult for your students. This will show you what you need to do when consulting with other professionals in academic settings so you are clear on where you're qualified to help, which will help you solve the problem of feeling like a glorified teaching assistant or a tutor. In Module 2, I'll show you a foolproof guide and present levels of performance template that simplifies paperwork so you can get through that growing pile of files on your desk and get home to your family and life outside of work. This will help you make sense of that data, like information from academic tasks, therapy, and formal evaluation results, so it doesn't take so long to write your present level statements and reports. In Module 3, I'm going to take the guesswork out of writing goals for language by giving you a goal bank and steps to take to write goals that you can actually track and that make planning for therapy much easier. In Module 4, I'll show you how to make data collection stress-free, even if you hate data collection. You'll learn how to stay on top of it so that you're staying legal, and I'll show you how you can do this with a big caseload and avoid letting it take over your sessions. Then, in this last module, I'll give you a blueprint for treatment so that you know what strategies to choose to help your students reach their therapy goals. Then, the format for the bonuses is slightly different in Volume 2. Most of the printable resources are compiled into a manual called the SPOT Framework Guide. And if you join the course, you'll get a detailed breakdown of what that acronym stands for. Here's a quick look at the table of contents from the manual. The outline is similar to the course modules. The first chapter provides several cheat sheets and templates you can use to create your own go-to curriculum guide, so you have a reference tool for the expectations across all the grade levels you serve. In Chapter 2, I've included a detailed guide you can use for collecting information about your students' performance in academic settings, so you know exactly what you're looking for and you can move through the process efficiently and prioritize. And there's also a rating scale you can use to collect information from teachers on student performance in the classroom. In Chapter 3, we continue with present levels, but this includes templates and scripts for writing reports using data from therapy and formal language evaluations, so you can simplify the process. In Chapter 4, I address writing goals, and this includes a goal bank for language therapy to help demystify this process, and a worksheet you can use to come up with effective goals. In Chapter 5, I've included tools that will help you take data easily and effectively. And then in Chapter 6, I've included a resource list that will help you choose appropriate treatment techniques from Language Therapy Advanced Volume 1 based on the goals you've written using the goal bank. Then there is also a bonus that's not going to be available to everyone, only to those of you who join early, and it's called 12 Test Behavioral Descriptions. And here's an example up on the screen of the Language Processing Test Elementary 3rd edition. The purpose of these handouts is to give you a narrative description of each subtest that you can copy word for word when you're writing reports or present level statements to make this process quicker and easier. These descriptions are in the middle column. Another purpose of this resource is to help you choose assessments. And you can see I've explained what skills are assessed by each subtest in the right column of the handout. Remember, this is only available to people who take action early. So if you're in, now is the time to join so you can get this bonus. Then, for support with both volumes 1 and 2, there is the private Facebook community. As a founding member, you'll be a huge part of getting this community started because this feature wasn't available for the first version of the course. And you'll actually be one of the first people to take advantage of this feature, which is why I'm looking for the most committed people to apply for this offer. Additionally, I'll be doing 4-hour-long Q&A sessions via Facebook Live to address any questions that people have about course content. Now let's talk about who this program is for. If you're an SLP working with school-age students ranging from early elementary on up, and you have students who are really struggling in school due to language issues like grammar, syntax, and poor literacy skills, and you feel like you just can't get to all the skills you need to target, this program is for you. If you want your students to do well in school, but you're just hitting a wall, if you're stuck, drowning in paperwork, struggling to write goals, having difficulty staying on top of data collection and paperwork, you aren't sure what your role is with the school-age population, and you're not sure what to ask teachers or how to communicate with them effectively, and you sometimes feel like you're doing the work of a teaching assistant, then this program is for you. As a disclaimer, I've mostly worked with early elementary through junior high, so this is where I'll be able to help you most and provide the most specific examples. However, I have had SLPs who've enrolled in earlier versions of this course, which just included Language Therapy Advanced Volume 1, say that they've been able to use this information for students in high school as well. The main thing that I focus on is academic language, so your students need to at least be working on reading and writing in order for the course techniques to be relevant. Now, this program isn't right for everyone, so let's talk about that too. If you're looking for something that will help you address life skills curriculums or functional skills for those students who are nonverbal or who aren't really working on academics as their main focus, this program wouldn't meet your needs. Your students need to be able to do some basic reading and writing for this program to be relevant. Also, if you're looking for something that will help you address pragmatics or social language, this won't be a right fit for you. And I'm not dismissing the importance of either of these things, but in order to be thorough in covering what you need to know on academics, I had to keep it focused on this area. I'm also not addressing speech sound disorders. I do mention phonology, but I do from the standpoint of how it impacts vocabulary and literacy, and not from a standpoint of addressing phonological processes. Next, if school-age language disorders aren't your primary area of focus, for example, if you're in a medical setting and you're doing a lot of feeding and swallowing or motor speech disorders, this won't address those areas. I do think that this program is relevant for someone working in an outpatient or medical setting if they focus on academics and collaborate a lot with the school system. It just won't cover the medical issues specifically. And last, if you're working on language but are looking for some fun crafts or art projects, I won't cover those types of things. My approach is to show you the skeleton framework or the essential elements. If you want that artistic element, there are tons of blogs or Teachers Pay Teachers products that'll help you with those extra pieces that you might enjoy adding. Again, all of these things are important to our field. They just aren't what I'm covering here in this program. Next, you're probably wondering the cost. So let me go through everything you'll be getting and then I'll talk about that. If you apply now to become one of the founding members of Language Therapy Advance and you're accepted, you'll get access to Volume 1 of the course, and this is all online, so you'll be able to log into a protected members area and view all your training modules. You'll also have access to the Volume 1 bonuses, which will be downloads in your members area. You'll get full access to Volume 2 of the course, so between the two courses, you'll have a total of 12 certification maintenance hours. You'll get your SPOT framework guide, which is your manual, which will be in your Volume 2 members area. You'll have access to the 4 live Q&A sessions via Facebook Live and the Facebook group. And of course, you'll have the private members community where you'll be able to interact with other members of the course and have your questions answered by me and other course members. And since you are signing up now, you'll get the 12 test behavioral descriptions, which is a special bonus for people who are signing up early. So you're getting over $1,000 worth of value for just a fraction of the price. And you'll also be getting the peace of mind that you're doing the right thing for your students. And you'll be getting your life back if you've gotten to the point that your work is just consuming you because you're so overwhelmed, because I'm going to walk you through the process step by step. And you can get all of this without traveling across the state or country to a conference and having to pay for food, transportation, and hotels, because I'm bringing the course modules and the community to you. And you'll have lifetime access so you can rewatch the course modules over and over again. Now let's talk about the cost. If you decide that you don't want to become one of these founding members and you want to wait and join the course at a later enrollment date, tuition for you will be $497. But for those of you who take action early and you apply and are accepted to become one of these founding members who helped get this program and community started, you'll get the extra special rate of $147 for being one of the first ones to take action. I know you might be feeling a little scared and skeptical right now, so let me help you if you're having those feelings. First, you might be thinking, what if I watch the course modules and I'm still overwhelmed and not sure what to do? I know this happens a lot. You sign up for a course or seminar, but you feel like you're drinking water through a fire hose, you're totally overwhelmed, and you're not sure how to actually execute what you've learned. This is totally normal and expected when you're learning something new. So that's why I want to support you if this does happen. So I'll be here to answer questions for you on the live Q&As, and that's why I've created the Facebook community, so you can ask questions. Next, you might be thinking, how do I know this will work for me? And you might be wondering if it's possible for certain students to improve. If you're feeling like this, I totally understand, because I felt like that too. It seemed like some cases were a lost cause, and this concern is completely legit. The truth is that it's not like my students were perfect straight A students once I did the right interventions that I'm going to show you. Many of them still have to work really hard in school or still need support in some way. But the point is that I got them to the next level and made a breakthrough when I thought things weren't ever going to improve. You're not going to magically start getting all your language cases off your caseload, because that just isn't realistic. Some students will need your help through the long haul. The system I'm going to show you is about progress, not perfection. But progress is possible if you do the right things, and I want to help you get there. Next, you might be feeling so overwhelmed that you think you don't have enough time for this program. You might be swamped and have a huge caseload, and I totally get it, because that's the reality of being an SLP. If that's the case, this is exactly the problem I want to solve for you. I'll show you how to prioritize and only do the most important things so that you can have your time back. So if you can carve out just a couple hours a week for the next couple months to work on the course materials, you can actually save time in the long run. Last, I know this is a financial investment, and I know your employer may or may not cover all of it. And there are a lot of other materials you can get that are cheaper or even free. But while that might be true, it will continue to take a lot of time and effort on your part if you're constantly putting things together yourself. I'm going to save you a lot of time by putting this into a complete system. So that is the huge payoff for you. And to be honest, if you're in debt and really strapped for cash, and this program will push you over the edge and create more stress for you, then I don't want you to join. I don't want to create more problems for you. If that's the case, please stay on my mailing list and take advantage of my free articles on my blog. But if you are able to make this work, this price will not last forever, because it will go up as the program evolves. So if you're in, now is the time to take action and join. If you join Language Therapy Advanced, you can go through the material at your own pace because you'll have lifetime access to the material. So if you don't understand something from one of the training videos, you can rewatch them as many times as you need. And you have a community of SLPs waiting to support you and answer your questions. Now, I know you've probably been frustrated in the past when you've signed up for programs or ordered materials and found that they weren't what you'd expected. And that's why I want to remove all risk and offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. So now it's up to you. You can keep struggling to piece things together yourself and keep burning yourself out. Or you can invest in yourself and your students and carve out just a couple hours a week for the next few months to learn this system. So instead of struggling for years like I did, you can start shaving hours off your workday and making breakthroughs with your language cases. I would love to be your guide so you can do what you set out to do when you decided to become an SLP, which is change people's lives. The ball is in your court. All you have to do is scroll down and click the Apply Now button at the bottom of this page to apply to become one of the founding members of Language Therapy Advance. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see your name on the applicants list.